Aiming your dart is not as simple as getting your dart in line with your eye and your target on the dartboard. There's so much more that goes into it. So in this one, I'm going to go over how to aim your dart. And also a couple weeks ago, I got my first Dart Players Chicago win in over a year and a half. And I played my last weekend of the CDC. So I just want to do a small little recap on that. So stick around for that, guys. If you're new, please make sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. The more Bullshot darts you watch, the more 180s you'll hit. Drop this video a thumbs up, and if any of this information helped you, make sure you share it so you can help out your fellow darts friends. So let's real quick talk about Dart Players Chicago's my first win, and actually I think it's been 2 years. They switched the format from long format to round robin into long format, and I've always struggled with round robin, and my darts have just been so inconsistent lately, but I was able to throw some good enough darts in that tournament, and I was really happy about it. One of my highlights of the tournament was that I had my 3 highest averages in the 3 matches of the bracket. So after the round robin going into the bracket, those 3 matches, I felt like I threw some of my best darts. I think I was about in the mid-70s for the bracket, which mid-70s isn't great, but the way I've been throwing to consistently throw like that and have that average, it just made me feel good. So I ended up getting the win, and I thought this would help lead me into a halfway decent last CDC weekend of the year. And needless to say, oh, my camera turned off. Needless to say, it did not. I did win 1 match, and I did have a comeback in that match. I was down 1-4, and I won 4 straight to win, but my opponent also missed a couple shots, and then the rest of my weekend basically boiled down to too little, too late. Actually, I don't know if I said that saying right, but what I'm trying to say is I started every single match slow, and then I finally started to pick up and get some wins and throw better darts to compete. But the thing is, when you're competing and you're already down 2 to 3 legs, you know, we're going to keep winning the same amount, and it didn't work out. So that was basically it for the CDC weekend. Now let's talk about aiming the dart here. I was hoping maybe I can get a 180 right before we talk about aiming the dart. So a lot of people think and talk about aiming their dart by having your dart in line with your eye and your target on the board. And yes, that is important, and that is a big part of aiming. But what we're going to talk about here is aiming with your full body. Aiming your dart starts all the way down at your feet, comes up through your legs, up through your midsection, out to your arms, and up to your head. So I'm going to get in a little bit more detail, but every time you approach the line, think about aiming your dart with every aspect of your body. So let's talk a little bit more into detail. So it all starts when you get to the line. So I'm standing at the dart line, I'm ready to throw my dart. But if I just nonchalantly and kind of lazily get up here and try to throw, I'm not going to have the right stance, my balance might be off, and all of that is going to affect my aim of my throw. So let's start with the feet. You need to make sure you have a good solid foundation, balance some weight, most of your weight on your front foot, some of it on the back. But the most important thing with your stance is that you need to be balanced. When you're throwing back and forth, you need to have a solid stance. And I know you guys might be saying, well, show your feet, how are you standing? It doesn't matter how I'm standing. It matters how you're standing. You need to stand at the line. You need to figure out the stance that has the best foundation and base for your body to throw your best dart. So that's where the aiming starts, is the first, when you approach the line, boom, you get that nice solid stance. Now from here, we have the upper body, which is your lean. The lean is kind of part of your stance. You want to make sure it's well balanced and make sure that every time you throw, it is going to be able to stay stationary, okay? So that's where the aiming is going to start, is with our body position going towards the board, having a good solid foundation. Now from here, when you bring your dart up, now we're aiming with our eyes. We're aiming with our dart. We're aiming with our hand. We're aiming with the dartboard, and you're also aiming with your full arm. Now, this tip that I'm going to give here, some people might agree or not agree, but hear me out here. Every time I approach the line, I think about I am pointing at my target with my elbow. Now, of course, I'm not actually pointing at my target, because if I'm throwing it to triple 20 and I point my elbow up at there, it's gonna be all the way up here, and we're not throwing darts from up here. This is more of a mental tip. So when I approach the line, I got my target in line, boom, I got my stance. When I bring my arm up, I push my elbow out a little bit from my body like that. Like I just don't have it like here. I have it here, and then I point it forward towards my target. Now, is it actually facing my target? No, but in my mind, I'm telling myself that I am aiming at the dartboard with my elbow, or aiming at my target with the elbow. So that's what I like to do from a mental standpoint. Point with my elbow. Okay, now from here, you need to aim with your dominant eye. I get so many questions about dominant eyes. I've made a video about dominant eyes. So if you're confused about that, go check out my video tips on how to throw with opposite hand-eye dominance, because I go into a lot of detail in that video. But you need to make sure that your dart is in line with your dominant eye and your target. Okay, now a lot of people do have other interesting throws maybe where their arm is up here, where it's out, or even below. But you want to make sure that that sight, like your aim spot in your throw, you want that dart in line with your eyes and your target, okay? And your dominant eye. Sorry guys, I'm sweating here. I just took a hot shower. So yeah, you want to make sure, and also aiming is going to be with where your dart is in your hand. Okay, the first thing, of course, is that you want your tip to be facing the dartboard. You don't want to be holding your dart on an angle like that. I know there's going to be people out there, oh, well, this person throws like that, this person throws like that. Exceptions do not make the rule. You want to make sure that your dart tip is facing forward. Now from here, whether your dart is facing straight towards the board like that, or there's a little bit of an angle, that all is going to come down to how comfortable you feel holding the dart. If you feel comfortable holding the dart like this, do it. If you feel more comfortable throwing it like this, work on that. And you also want to think about how your dart is sticking in the board. So keep that in mind too with how you're holding your dart, and you can experiment with that a little bit. But that comes down to your grip, and I got some videos talking about grip if you want to go check that out. So head placement too. Okay, we're talking about aiming here. You want your head in a natural position. You don't want it aiming up or down too far. Have it in a natural position that makes you feel comfortable when you have your dart up and you're making your throw. Okay? Alright guys, small little recap here. I feel like I rambled a lot. I feel like I said a lot, but I really didn't say anything important. But a quick little recap. Aim with your full body. When you approach the line, make sure your legs are ready. Think about it. You're aiming with your legs. Are you literally aiming with your legs? Of course not. But this is what I think about full body aiming. You know, have you ever heard of full body listening? Being a teacher, we talk about full body listening, that you need to listen with your whole body. If you're up running around, sure, you can still listen with your ears, but it's not full body listening. So full body aiming is aiming with your full body. Make sure your feet is in a good spot that is comfortable for you and good balance. Make sure the weight distribution between your feet is comfortable for you. Make sure that your body is nice and firm so that when you're throwing, it's not throwing you off balance and making you move like this or kicking your leg up a lot in the back. Okay, when you bring your dart up, point at your target with your elbow. Not literally, this is more of a mental tip. Make sure that dart is in line with your dominant eye and your target. And then when you bring it back, the last part of aiming is going to be your follow through. And I like to point at my target on my follow through. A lot of people say, oh, well, Johnny Clayton doesn't have a full follow through, so it's not important. This player doesn't have a full follow through, so it's not important. Once again, exceptions do not make the rule. Those dart players that do not have full follow throughs, I guarantee will still tell a new darts player that they need to be following through on their throw. Alright guys, hopefully that video was helpful. Full body aiming. Think about that when you're thinking about aiming your dart, and think about all those aspects of your dart throw, because it's not as simple as just your eyes, your dartboard, and your dart. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, drop some darts emojis down in the comments section. Let me know you made it to the end of the video. If you're new at that subscribe button, drop the video a thumbs up. I'll see you all in the next one, and shoot well. Oh.